So I'm going to tell you today the number one most important takeaway from today, from the seminar, that will change your level of stress and happiness, either positively or negatively, depending on how you use it. And it's the most important thing that will change really the course of your life if you use it every day. But before I do that, I first want to just get right into this personal. And I'm going to show you 5 different ways to look at yourself or to use this for yourself. And the POV is what's called point of view. So this is a personal point of view. This is some of the information in here is what a lot of great mystics, a lot of high-level psychologists, psychotherapists, or people that are in the health and wellness industry at a very, very high level. This is some of the top psychological things. Some of it's new, some of it's ancient, esoteric technology and information too. So it's something that's not normal to the main world, but we're going to go for it today. So the first point of view is POV, point of view. The first point of view is you're looking at things through your own eyes. So what does that mean? While you're looking at me, you're looking through your own eyes, through your own point of view, through your own perception. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. That's the starting point. It seems really easy that we're all focusing on together, then I'm talking about it just like this. But once you get to, we're going to go through like 17 different points of views today, and you're going to probably see that this one, it can be overused or underused. And you'll see what that means. But the first one, as you're looking right now through your own eyes, this is the first person point of view. Makes sense. You have eyeballs, you're behind your consciousness, whatever is behind it, you're looking at whatever you're seeing. Your point of view is not good, it's not bad, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just your own. But it is also limited. Your point of view is only one point of view out of an infinite point of view. This is the infinity sign out of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to whatever. Your own point of view is one out of infinity. And anything, if I'm not the best at math, but I know that 1 out of infinity is very limited, right? It's pretty much as limited as you can get. Even 0 out of infinity is still 1 out of infinity. It's still an option. Think about that for a second. But one option, one possible point of view out of infinity is limited by itself in its nature. So no matter whose point of view, every one point of view, it's still going to be limited. So the more flexibility, the more structure, the more technical thing you can do, it's just going to help you in a lot of different ways. So that's just the first one. It's from your own eyes. Pretty simple, straightforward. You'll see later in the seminar that it can be really overutilized or underutilized. The second point of view is if it's you and one other person, whether it's any relationship, if it's at work, if it's a cat, it could be literally a paper clip, it literally could be anything, but something or somebody else from the other's eyes, even if they don't have eyes. And what does that mean? If you're ever in a fight, has you ever been in a fight with a door? I mean, it sounds simple, but think about that. If you ever I don't know about you, but sometimes I've done cleanses before and I get a little bit loopy, or some days I just have low blood sugar or tired, and like if this is a door, let's say where this space is, this is a door, and sometimes I walk and I miscalculate the doorway and I hit it and I'm just kind of like, hey, what's your problem, door? I don't really say that, but that's kind of my reaction. It's almost like it pushed me. But if I were to look at it from a different point of view, if I was literally acting as a door and I saw this human coming, it's like, you're going to hit me, even though the door can't talk. And the door hits it, and then this person's getting mad because it ran into it. The point is, doors don't have eyes, but if you can imagine how ridiculous or silly it might be to get mad at a door if you were looking at it from the door's point of view. Simple, really easy, but this is the other's eyes. So if it's me and you, it's really simple. If thinking about me for a second, there's my eyes looking at you right now. Or if I were to visualize my awareness going from my body to your body, looking at myself. That's an other's point of view, a second position. I'll explain it differently. I would say the Kardashians are one of the top, if not the best, at reality TV. Reality TV, they're really good at it. They've made billions of dollars. They're really good at that. But the analogy I'm using with reality TV is that the Kardashians and people on reality TV shows, people that have cameras with them all the time, they're usually their posture, they're aware if they trip, oh, I meant to do that, right? I'm kind of joking a little bit, but what I'm saying is it's actually a really good practice for self-awareness, self-realization, higher consciousness, different perspective. If you want to be a great leader, understander, communicator, actor, actress, whatever that is, think about having a camera on you, not to just do duck lips all the time. They're really, really important, but not to do duck lips all the time, but posture. Not as a judgment, a shaming, a nagging, but if you think about there's a camera on you, but the camera is maybe your awareness, the awareness of yourself. If you imagine there's a camera on you right now, and the camera, what the lens is, what's looking is the awareness of your own self. What would that look like? Because a lot of people, they don't know where their posture, and they look in a mirror. Oh! And for me, being 20 years in the health and wellness industry, I've worked with a lot of mirrors. Never got into bodybuilding, but I used it for myself to a lot of corrective exercise, and when I work with other people, sometimes people aren't getting it. So you have to put them in front of a mirror and show them what their knees are doing, what their hips are doing, and then they get it. You do that enough where you correct it in the mirror, you can take away the mirror, and then you can just do it without the mirror. So it's a skill set in itself to visualize and imagine there's a camera of awareness looking at yourself, and would you stand different? Not because you should, because it would feel better. If you slouch, from a spiritual point of view, emotional, it shuts down your heart center. But also it shuts down your confidence, shuts down a lot of things. If you literally lift your chest up 1 inch and drop your shoulders, it presents confidence, but you can actually feel confidence, puts you in a different emotional state. So that's just something to think about practicing like you're in your own reality TV, not like you're in the Kardashians and doing that, but let's do authentic reality TV, meaning you are the hero of your own life. You're the major purpose. A lot of times people, you might have heard this before, but a lot of times people aren't even extras in their life. They're focusing on other people. They put their boss's need, their spouse's need, their kids' needs in front of them. They don't actually remember one of the biggest things at Earth, that reason why we came here is for self-realization, self-love, unconditional self-acceptance. And you can't, anything in the third dimension, you can't get better at anything that you don't focus on. You can't get better at anything you don't invest time into. Anything on the third dimension, physically, psychologically, spiritually, financially. Things won't get better over time. The whole time heals. Time does not heal. Investing the time heals. After time, if you can have different perspective and you actually can feel and connect and release and upgrade, well, then that's healing, but that doesn't always necessarily work, and you're going to see why time doesn't heal when we get into some of the second half of this part, the next part. So second position, it's the other's point of view. Just to be aware of my own point of view is only one point of view out of infinite point of views. And it's dependent on my blood sugar, what the moon's doing, the wacky moon, what it's doing, at what time, was it waning or waxing or bringing up retrograde or whatever it is, what the temperature's like, what the tired level's like, whatever personality is currently there, a lot of circumstances going on. Where I'm at in the world, the collective consciousness, where you're at in the world, all those things for you. Wherever you are at, whatever's going on, that's going to be your point of view. There's times when we all feel more resourceful and less resourceful. And there's a lot of factors that goes on to it. So first position, your own eyes, you looking at me. Second position is if one second position could be if you were to imagine me, your point of view coming up here and looking at yourself from where I'm standing. Put your internal eyes right in front of my eyes, looking back at yourself. It's a different point of view, right? We're going to get into the second part where we're talking about associating, disassociating, and dissociating. They're three different things. So it just changes things. And if you were to imagine, this is kind of something interesting, different. Here's another second point of view, because there's a lot of different infinite points of views. You could visualize and imagine your awareness floating above and outside of your body, and then turning. You ever heard that term, I was beside myself? And everybody kind of experienced that. It's an out-of-body experience. Imagine you're right next to yourself, looking at yourself, or you're right next to yourself looking straight ahead of where you're looking at. Imagine your awareness floats right to outside of you, and from over here you're looking at what you're looking at in front of you. Does that make sense? It's different. Might even quiet the mind, doesn't it? It's different. All these things are going to be different. Let's talk about the third POV, POV, or point of view, is going to be I'm going to write strangers. There's different ways you can say it, like an innocent bystander, a bystander, somebody who's not involved. I just write stranger. So a stranger, somebody who's not affiliated, not connected, some like stranger's eye, somebody walking. If you are here, this is you, and this is somebody else. There's you, and there's somebody else. A stranger would be almost like a pyramid, right? If you're here, somebody else is here, a stranger would be back here looking at both. The stranger isn't going to take your side. The stranger isn't going to take the other person's side. The stranger is just going to look at what's happening. Just, oh, there's two people. They're hugging, they're fighting, they're talking, they're annoying each other, they're ignoring each other. One's on the phone, one's bored, whatever that is, whatever's happening, it's another person's point of view. This can be really, really valuable if there's things you're not seeing with yourself, go somewhere else. Try something different. You're going to try these in the future, and I would recommend doing this daily. At least one thing. Could be 5 minutes, could be 1 minute, could shift your life, could shift the day, could shift the trajectory of life just by looking at things from different ways, 100%. And if you're having an issue with somebody else, then you can maybe go to somebody else that doesn't even know you, right? Think about it this way. We all have our own problems, right? Our own problems that are meant to be solved, right? The one thing that I've learned about myself, and I help my clients all the time in my coaching sessions or classes, is that for me, when I have my biggest problems, one of the realization I use to disassociate or look at it from a different point of view, I go into a stranger's point of view when I'm having my deepest problems. And I'm like, here I am in my house, and I sit out this really big bay window, and I'm looking at all the different neighbors, and they might have different problems, they might have no problems, there might be nobody home. But I'm looking at, if I were to float into my neighbor's house and look at my problems wouldn't bother me if I was somebody else. Think about that. Your problems wouldn't really bother you if you're somebody else. Because you're not bothered by other people's problems that aren't your own, right? Does everybody agree that you're not bothered by some people in the world that have people having problems right now? Somebody's probably going through some sort of pain right now in a different country that you maybe even never heard of. Doesn't bother you. Somebody's probably getting married right now and having the time of their lives, or winning $10,000 in jackpot, having a really ecstatic experience, but you're not really feeling that. It's not really affecting you, right? Consciously or directly at least. So that's a huge thing, to look at some things from a different perspective, especially when it's the hardest things. Go to a stranger's point of view, somebody that wouldn't be affected by your problems because they're not connected to those problems. That's really, 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 really helpful. The fourth point of view is what I call the meta position. And I'm going to write off 5 of these, and I'm going to talk about all 5 of these, and I'm going to get 5 volunteers to come up just to kind of show you what that might look like, a visual. So like the meta position, all right. And I'm a big fan of shapes, symbology, sacred geometry. It's kind of cool. One of my favorite things is the pyramid. The pyramid as a shape, it just represents like getting to the top of the mountain, to the pinnacle of your career, hitting your goals. The higher you go up in success, the more attrition rate, the more people fall off, and I just like the top of the pyramid. So this meta position, if you think of over here is here's you, your point of view. Here's somebody else's point of view, maybe somebody you're not seeing eye to eye with, or somebody that really cares about you. It can go either way. Then let's say over here is a innocent bystander, stranger, a stranger's point of view. Here's you, one part of the pyramid. Here's another person right here, the other person, and here's the third. You guys follow me so far? They're all three different. The meta position is the top of the pyramid. If it's a 3-point pyramid, 3-sided pyramid, one side, all three of these points connect. The meta position, all of them will go to here. Not a 4-sided pyramid, a 3-sided pyramid. You follow me? So think about if you're having a problem or if you're not seeing something, you can go from somebody else's point of view. You can go to a stranger's that's not even looking at the relationship with you and somebody else, or you and somebody else's point of view. Or you can go to the top of the pyramid and look down at all three. The meta position in certain psychological practices, usually it's like the fourth one. It's used interchangeably with the fifth, but they're different. Like I will dissect and get into it right this second. The meta position is looking at all 3 points of view. And it's just so important. It could even be, you don't have to go in this order. You can go in this order, but you don't have to. It can be sequential, it can be simultaneous, it can be a lot of different things. You can skip it, it can be random. You can go from your point of view and you can look up, maybe from the top of the ceiling, the very center of the room, and look down at yourself. For problems, this is something that's really, really valuable, is if you can imagine you're having a problem in your life. Doesn't matter how big or small. Just visualize and think about the last time you had a problem in your own life. And then keep your problem where it's at, right? If it's a problem's around you, keep the problem there. Go into a mental airplane, right? Like visualize your problems on the ground and it can't leave, can't fly, but you get into an airplane. You guys follow me? And then you get on the airplane and you start to take off and you go up to 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. From a 10,000 point of view, right? You can imagine when you get up in that airplane, you guys know what it's like. What does the ground looks like? It gets smaller, correct? Because you get higher up, it changes the point of view. So if your problem was, it's so big, it's the world and everybody and life is blah, 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 all these generalizations which are never universally true in the history of any points of view. But we can get it associated, which we're going to get into in the next few pages, to certain states of consciousness. We can get like panic attacks or dramatization, or being like really happy or ecstatic. You know, it can be contagious or not. But if you think about your problem and then you think about, or you can even see yourself with the problem, but you're getting onto an airplane from a different point of view, flying up, watch your problem get smaller and smaller. The higher you go, the smaller that problem gets. And see if it's really still a problem from outer space. Looking at, you can't even recognize your own body anymore. You can barely see. If you put your thumb over that point of view from space, it covers up all of North America. So even that, it can be a huge point of view. So meta can be the top of the pyramid or above looking down. You could call it a bird's eye point of view, which might be off to the side or it might be above. So that's an interchangeable. The meta positions could be also called like a bird's eye point of view. But it's above. A meta means above. Where the first, second, and third are on land. It's linear. It's grounded. These ones gets a little bit different. This one's always above. Meta is always above. You follow me so far? Okay. Your own eyes, somebody else's, somebody that's not even connected, above looking at all three. Or meta can just be looking at yourself. Meta can be looking at these two. Meta can look at all three of those. Meta could be looking at itself, looking at all three, which we're going to get into in a few pages. The fifth point of view, which is one of my favorites, but it's the most technical. This one, I would say 1 through 3 for sure is psychological. The meta is border between spiritual and psychological, and this for sure goes spiritual. The fifth point of view. This one is the Omni point of view. Sometimes people interchangeably use meta and omni. It's not the same thing. Meta deserves its own respect. It's above the point of view, and you can move it a little bit, but it's really above and looking down. Omni could be any point of view. This is also learned as like omnipresent. Omni could be all space, all time, simultaneously, right? Everything. Omni could be everything. The Omni position could go, if you can imagine, right? There's you, there's somebody else, stranger, meta. That's what's set up. The Omni could go seamlessly into you, over into the other person, up to meta, down to the stranger, behind, looking at the whole thing from like a moon's eye point of view. It can shrink down and look from a worm's eye point of view. It can move. It could be, you could use the stranger's point of view or a bystander or somebody else. You could use that as Christ, looking at it through Jesus' eyes. You could look at it through your great-grandmother, Buddha, Ganesh. You could have your higher consciousness, higher self, future self with the third one. You could do higher consciousness, higher self with the second one, if you wanted to. You could do it with the fourth. You could bring your higher consciousness into your own point of view and see what that does. There's infinite ways we can do this. But these are the standard, the main ones through your own eyes, which most people underutilize or overutilize. Second one, this is a lot of underutilization. This creates a lot of compassion, understanding, and checking in with other people. It changes your own perspective when you see from a different perspective, intrinsically. Third one is a stranger's point of view, which you have total freedom. You can put whoever you want, but you definitely generally don't want to put, like, if you're having a conflict with somebody, here's you, here's the other person, here's somebody that's going to pick either side. Pick somebody new. If it doesn't work, change the strategy, change the upgrade. Meta looking down, it just feels different. It feels good looking at all three from a different point of view. But the Omni or God's eye, or it can move in through all of them. It's what actually moves, and it can look really, the eye can get really big, the eye can get really small. It can move interchangeably in between, in and out of them.